Good evening, folks. How's it going? Hope everyone is good. As you can see, we have some happy puppies. And that is because we are going for a little test run with our emergency survival bug out camping hunting sled, whatever you want to call it. Right now it's set up for Justin Trudeau, basically. It's my Justin Trudeau sled. I'll just call it that from now on. So the JT sled is, basically a Pelican 60 inches. And then what I did was, I've got somewhere on my kit here, should be right around there, a cold steel Bushman knife, which you can put onto a pole because it's socketed. And so what I did was I made little sockets for my sled, and so that way I always have poles. And I also have a shovel that's socketed that I made, or I modified a tree planter shovel rather. So the JT sled is basically set up with a full camp inside, because you never know what the hell is going to happen between him and everything else. I'm going to really try and keep this non-political, but unfortunately right now politics is ever so... Oh, there we go. So it locks in with a quarter turn. You just got to turn it the right way. All right, so the JT sled is set up with a full camp. And now... Hi, I'm Andrew. My backpack, my bob, my JT bag is basically set up with a bug out kit. It's a heavier bug out kit for sure. It's more of like a month-long kit. We actually have about a month of rice in it. So I'm packing, if I were to guesstimate here, I'm packing about 150 pounds, roughly. And Kuma over here, bonehead wasting all her energy before we get up the mountain. Come on, come here. Good girl. Is packing another 20 pounds or so of dog supplies mostly, and then also a jacket for Allie, who is 15 and potentially on her last camping trip. Well, hopefully not, right? Yeah. Love you, Allie. You're such a good puppy dog. And so is Kuma. However, Kuma's load is not balanced, and we're probably going to throw it on the sled anyways. But, so yeah, I'm packing about 150 pounds, and I'm actually kind of happy as snow's coming in. I suspect spring will be a lot of that. I'm right on the edge of Canmore, Alberta. Like, literally right on the edge of town. And I'm going to be going up what's known as Grotto Mountain. I've stayed a considerable amount of time up Grotto. Grotto is my home away from home. Except that it's actually my home, sort of, a lot of the time. I love the mountain. But anyway, so we're going to bring the JT kit out and see, first of all, can the 42-year-old, never really was a prepper guy, but always have been an outdoorsman, can haul 150 pounds up a mountain with this configuration. I know I can do it in multiple loads, and I may even have to do this in 2 loads. So I gotta cut this short. I only have 2 batteries for my phone. And I'm going to try and do a few videos along the way of some stuff that I potentially have. Quit eating poo on camera. God, no class. Your bag's not even on straight. Kids these days. Anyway, yeah, so I made a whole bunch. I've got a lot of videos that basically were on a hard drive that got corrupted or something. So I'm probably going to remake some of those while I'm out and testing all my gear here. Alright, just a little bit further down the trail, and I just wanted to show you how this looks. Now you'll notice my pulk poles are parallel where they would normally be crossed, and I just didn't feel like doing that right now. Mostly because I'm a lazy bitch. So, I don't know if you can see it. You can see the where it rises up, and then right there is where that's the mountain anyway. We're not going there. We're going to be headed about there. We're not going up this way because that's a false rise. meaning that you go all the way up and then you have to go down and back up. So we're gonna cut around. There's a goat trail, and the biggest problem I have with any of this right now is that I wasn't able to obtain crampons in time to test this. There's a set waiting for me over one town over. I just haven't been able to get there. So we'll see. I might not make it up the mountain. I might wind up doing a video off the side of it or something. I can't go down to the river because I am armed. And actually even here is kind of sketchy because this is technically wildland, private property, park kind of thing. Everything's packed away and like so tight that I don't think they'd bother me, like just walking through. But down below in the river, it's all wildland park and there's no way to say you're just walking through. Which is really unfortunate because I'd love to be able to go down there, you know, and just have my stuff with me. I have actually, like, I took a broomstick once and taped 2 bricks to it to simulate a gun. I've done stuff like that in the past, but you know, like, come on. So, all right, well, we have, I don't know, 25 minutes of monotony. Oh, my pole just fell out. So one of my poles here is not very tight. Oh. Come on. And it keeps falling out. Now, I actually have a hose clamp somewhere in case I have this problem. Come on. There we go. There we go. I have a hose clamp. I have the where are we going? This way? Trying not to flip the video on you guys. Sorry if it happens. I've got kind of like studs I welded into the sockets for the poles. So that way I can put a hose clamp on without it slipping off. Alright. I'm in the woods. Shit. There's Kuma. She doesn't have her pack on anymore because the pack is up the trail. I don't know if you can see Allie over there. Not really. The sled is coming. We're going uphill. It's working. It's fucking hard though. It's really, really, really hard. If you're not in shape, or if you are even at risk of like a heart condition, oh man, I wouldn't be doing this. Even myself, I'm kind of a little concerned. I brought my packs up and then I went back down to get the sled about half an hour later. So I think I saw the time being 8:45 or something, and I left at 6. I'm about 2 kilometers from town. But I'm 2 kilometers from town with a full set. Well, pretty much 2 full sets, because you got to remember the bob and the inch are somewhat redundant in some ways. What I did do, here, we're going to go up. Go on, Kuma. Go on, Kuma. Good girl. Go. Oh, try again. Come on, try again. Go. Hey, there you go. Good girl. Go on. There you go. We're moving here. Slow as hell. But we're moving. Anyway, yeah, the inch bag and the bob. Because I figure I bring, my bob has my hunting gear in it. Oh god, gotta stop. We're going a ways. We're only going halfway up tonight, but still a ways. Bob has hunting gear in it and the basics for survival. Whereas the inch kind of has like a full camp, the full on camp, wood stove, everything. So what I did and what my plan is like, if I had to if I could only grab my bob, then I grab my bob and I go. But if I can get my inch, then, you know, I'll take my inch and run a mile. But what I would do is basically ditch some of the redundant gear right off the bat to drop a few pounds. And some of that redundant gear would come right out of my pack. One of the problems I had, I thought I would be a solution, turned into a major problem, was loading yeah, loading the pack on top of the sled. I mean, it becomes so unstable. So there's different sleds out there. I think a jet sled is a lot wider and probably wouldn't have that problem. But these pelican sleds are a little narrow. My last one was a smaller one. It had that problem big time. I thought this one wouldn't have that problem, but yeah, if you go a few inches over the top, you're tipping. So anyways, getting out here, I thought that I would just mosey on down easily with the my backpack on the sled, and that's not the case at all. So unfortunately, I had to dredge that the whole way out. I actually almost gave up because it was just got a whole bunch of problems at the beginning. It honestly took me 2 hours to get most of the way out here, and I've only been here for 45 minutes, and you know I'm almost ready to set up. So some of the problems are ironed out, and I'm making notes as I go and whatnot, and then I'll obviously when I get back and I'll sit down and make it all a little better. So anyways, I got a tired dog and I got a itching dog. And we're gonna go. Hey, come on, go. Go on, good girl. All right, 9:49, first night. Everything's up. Sled is up. I don't know. You can see that over there? No, we cannot. Tent is up. Sort of. Stove is in. Dogs are in. Tired dog. Maybe a little bit cold. And, I don't know. 7 liters of water will be done by the time I'm sitting down here. Oh. Coffee. I found a nice big piece of tree, used as a backstop. Because the tent's kind of close to the fire, so stop the wind from blowing that up into the tent. Nothing special, you know, typical camp night. Getting the sled up here wasn't so bad. So I mean, we're halfway to where I wanted to get to, but that's only about a quarter of the actual way up the mountain. I almost always stay in the tree line. I just prefer to be in the trees, wake up to the birds, you know, like there's nothing that interests me above the trees much anyways. Fossils and stuff, but not for camp wise. Anyway, yeah, I'm tired and starving, so I'm gonna do that stuff. You all know how to cook and sleep, so no need for a video on that. Yeah, I don't even know where to start. I'll probably do a little thing on the sled tomorrow when you can see what I'm doing. So, have a nice night. Alright, morning folks. Just thought I'd show you my night spot before I move on. So we're not that far from the road. You can't really see it from here, but there, down there. Oh, good morning. Anyway, so yeah. Beautiful Canmore, Alberta, which now stretches all the fucking way out to there. When I first started camping out here, I actually used to camp over there. I used to do the south side of the valley. Bike it, camp it, and everything. And then they started building all that stuff. So I moved over to this side. But when I first moved over here, I'm pretty sure that the lights stopped right about there. Oh, maybe not actually. Oh yeah, no, that would be it. Yeah, just right about there. And now they go all the way to, yeah, just about there. So, kind of too bad. Bound to happen, I suppose. Did not sleep very well last night for some reason or another. The setup was fine. It was completely warm and dry. Wasn't comfortable and everything. Wasn't a problem. But for some reason, I just couldn't sleep. And this morning, silly dog comes out and steps right in the fire. So, just letting her do whatever she's gonna do for a bit before I decide if we're gonna pack up and head up or head back down and home, because she may have burnt her paws. And this would be the one, the genius. How's your paw? Your paw okay? And so she's old, so she's got sweaters and stuff on. And the wood stove. And the pew pew, which will soon be illegal apparently, which really sucks. Thanks, JT. Remember, no politics. Anyway. Yeah, I just thought I'd give a view. So we came up from down there. It wasn't that bad. It was a lot easier than I thought it would be, actually. And then the trail continues up through there, up through there. And then it just kind of, it gradually goes up from there until it gets to where the next bench starts, and then it goes up, it goes back to getting pretty steep. So really not too bad. I thought I would be screwed without cleats, crampons or something. Didn't really have that problem. I'm pretty sure if this was ice that I would have that problem. But one thing I have is about 250 feet of rope with a couple of pulleys. So basically I can go tie a line up and then yank the sled up and secure it, and then just basically do that the whole way up a mountain if I want to. Of course, coming back down is another story, not much fun. This is murder. Murder, I tell you. Murder. Or suicide. Murder on my back or legs. It's actually, you know what? It's just, I'm 42 and I smoke like a chimney. Even when I quit cigarettes, I smoke like a chimney. So, you know, it's got 42-year-old smoker lung issues. We got the trusty dog there. And let's go. Come on. Go. Oh, shit. Come on. There we go. So yeah, it's not terrible, but you know, it's definitely not easy. I wouldn't want to have to do this regularly. Like in a long-term inch situation, I think I'd probably be sticking to valleys mostly. Because, you know, 120 pounds up a mountain. Sled's only about 80, but my pack's probably another 60 or so. Yeah, I got bad math. Shut up. I have no idea what my pack weighs actually, but I had to bring it up first. Anyway, batteries and all. Talk to you later. Good morning, folks. I just thought I'd share a quick one with you. I don't know how well you can see this. But basically this is a tree, dead standing. And what I do is I take a piece of coal, I put the coal in the middle, and then I blow on it, like you would with a burnout canoe. And I basically use the coal ember to, not coal rather, but ember. And I use the ember to basically burn out a bowl into this surface of the freestanding that I cut flush. Once you have a sufficient bowl, oh, there we go. Now we can see it for sure. Well, that's weird. How do we get the light in there? Anyway, once you have a sufficient bowl in there, you go to a tree with a lot of sap, and basically melt the sap to seal this. And what that gives you is a little feeder, like a little water dish for birds and stuff. And that kind of, in my opinion, now, you know, there might be some other opinions, but in my opinion, that helps to offset the problem that development poses for wildlife on smaller scales, like you know, little tributaries and creeks and this and that just aren't there anymore. So, you know, having a few of these around the forest, I really feel helps. Clearly, it's going to also provide some spawning ground for insects, which to some people automatically think mosquitoes and bad stuff. But I mean, honestly, like, insects are big part of what makes the world go round. So all these birds need them. And from what I've seen, my observations is that the animals appreciate this. So there you go, a forest water bowl that is mostly natural. And you could even set a trail camera up to, you know, to kind of monitor it or whatever. And every time it rains, clearly it's going to fill up the bowl a little bit. And then because of the sap from the tree having sealed it, it'll stay in there instead of just trickling down through the wood. So there you go. Thanks for watching. So what's a perfect storm? Well, an emergency can go to a disaster rather, in a heartbeat. And I'll give you a little example of that. So this was just a test run, right, with my sled and whatnot. But I decided to have a fire. And while I was having the fire, I was cutting wood. At one point, I got mostly through a log and decided, well, that's good enough, and I'll just break it. So I put the wood onto the log, and I stomped on it, and I promptly received the rest of the log on the side of the knee, which dropped me like a brick. So, Allie, stop eating poo. So, basically, you want to avoid a perfect storm, right? The perfect storms are when a combination of factors come together to create a really bad situation. Now, in this one, being a test, we'll just say that the X factor, the test, was replaced with a real situation where, I don't know, something really bad has happened, you can't be around town, so you've bugged out. And so that's one factor. So you can't get back to town really for help because you're not supposed to be out of town to begin with. And now you're halfway up a mountain, so there's another factor, which is not necessarily bad on its own. But now you've got a broken knee, and we've got a problem. Now, my knee wasn't broken. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's why you have a giant thing of supply that you bring up, is so that you can live and survive properly like a human and not basically wear your body down as a tool, because that's what the tools are for. That's why we do these things, you know. We could stack bodies to make palaces, but, you know, those palaces won't last too long. Likewise, if you're breaking wood with your hands and your feet and whatever, sooner or later something bad will happen. Now, that sooner or later for me was today. I've really never had a problem with that. I've been an outdoors guy most of my life. You know, I've caught a couple little things here or there, but not to that extent. So you don't want to do that, and you want to be mindful of how your tools can make your day not only easier, but safer, and make your survival outcome a lot more likely. Or the outcome of your survival a lot more positive, I should say. So, anyway, sorry for stumbling, but or rambling on, but it's more or less what a perfect storm is, why you need to avoid it, and one of the things that, you know, packing more than what you really actually need does to avoid a perfect storm. Because, I mean, there's a good deal of stuff in this kit that I could get by without, but, you know, why take the chances and risks? If you're trying to survive long term, you need to stack the odds in your favor as much as possible. Alright, so yeah, we'll do a video on our way out probably at some... Oh, good afternoon. A few days later. I didn't really do as many videos as I hoped to do. Things got cut short for a couple of reasons. I'm going up to get my camp. I had to leave my sled up here. I packed my bag down before swelling kicked in, and then I had to wait for a day and a bit. Maybe it was 2 days, I don't know. Anyways, for swelling to go away. Now I'm more or less okay. Got a little ways up to go get it. And here we have snow, but on the face of the hill over there is bare. So I brought my bike trailer up, and I'll probably do a little shoot of how that works. Not that it's not obvious, but anyways. Yeah. Beautiful Grotto Mountain, Canmore, Alberta. And this is the forest I lived in for, well, quite a long time. A little hesitant to say exactly how long, lest Uncle Sam come knocking. But anyways, you know, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I don't know, oh, that's from that fat biker yesterday. That guy was up here, which is a bit concerning because trail from the sled is pretty obvious. So anyways, hopefully my stuff's alright. It's nice when this mountain was, well, quiet. Not so much anymore. There's probably about 10 people up there now. Oh, nice. The fat biker came from the other way. Maybe. It says right here, I've been arguing with people. Trails close December 1st to May 15. So, you know, whatever. It is what it is. I talked to Parks. They had no idea what I was talking about. And this is why I don't support Parks. Because if they saw my dogs running around with no wildlife issues, they would be on that with a ticket in a heartbeat. If they saw any other reason where they can extract money, they'll be on it in a heartbeat. But I mean, I complained about a bait site months ago. I promise it's still there. Here in the Bow Zone 410. And it's actually not far from where I found rifle shells one year. So, wouldn't surprise me. So that's why I don't support Parks anymore. Had a lot of issues with them with stuff like that. Poor Allie. It's just too exhausting now, eh? 2 steps good, 2 steps bad. This is what the sled's gonna be like too. Hard crushed soft core. Yay. Okay, I'm gonna let this go because I'm gonna try and do a pack out vid. So I'll see you in a few. Okay, just a quick note. So, as a means to escape, bug out, whatever, you know, like pulling a big sled, you'll have everything you need, but you're going really slow and you leave a massive trail, right? So, if somebody's actually looking for you or something like that, probably not a good idea. You know, in that circumstance, I don't know what to say. I don't even know if I should say. But if you're just, you know, trying to get away because things are going really bad or whatever, then yeah, for sure. But there's always going to be a way for someone to follow you. And they're going to move a lot faster than you will. And not to mention, they'll be able to hear you ahead. So it's not like you'll even be able to hear them coming and hide or something. So yeah, pretty much it, I guess. Just a little thought. And I'll be packing up here. We're at the camp. I'll show you what I got since we're here. Okay, so that's a tent. This is a Sierra Design stretch dome. I like it a lot, works really well. It's older, so the waterproofing's not there anymore so much, but the the way that it operates, it tends, like, you can tighten the fly, which is also counter pulling with the rods, the poles. So basically I stitched in a silicone cooking apparatus, cut a hole in it, and then I added some silicone goop or whatever, not goop, but sealant stuff, gasket maker. Sorry, I need another coffee or something. But anyways, I added that to just reinforce the edge so it doesn't tear, because the inner one tore as soon as it got warm. And then another thing too is apparently the silicone goop, if you try and heat it to cure it too quickly, it does not cure ever. So the inner one also not only tore, but became a pretty big mess. So I'm probably going to take that one out and put another one in, just start over on that. The silicone was super easy. What I did was, I'll put another video up, I've got a bunch of pictures, or maybe I'll include it, but basically I put rings of the sealant as glue to hold it in place. I cut out the silicone, I drew the cutout onto the silnai, I stitched my silicone plate in place, and then cut out the hole, so that way you keep your proper surface tension. And then on the sled, I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I did. Oops. Almost looks like somebody was in there, but it might have just been a branch that knocked back the thing. But one of the things I did was on the sockets, I can actually just lock it. So, and they're welded, so you're gonna have to break the sled or cut the tree or cut the chain or something to get it, which is nice, you know. There are unfortunately people that will take your stuff in the woods. Alright, so this will be my hack out portion of the video, I suppose. I might do a more complete one at some point. So we'll start with the basics. This is a Pelican 60, so 60-inch utility sled. Pretty decent. They're supposed to have runners, and I don't have runners. They've proven to be a bit difficult to order with COVID and stuff going on. So what I did was, I didn't want to wreck it going over rocks or having to cross roads, so I added these two carry straps, one over there. And basically these just hook into cordage that's paracord, that's basically kind of ribboned or laced through the sled, and serves a variety of purposes for tying down, but for a variety of tie downs rather. So basically I can pick the sled up, although difficult, and through these, and you know, tighten these down obviously to where they're, and it also serves to like hold the rifle, for example, or some firewood, or potentially an injured dog or something. So that's pretty decent. So okay, yeah. Then we got my ghillie suit, which is just, you know, some extra camo. Might as well use it for something, because I never use it hunting. And then a Tyvek sheet, because the Pelican sled cover is actually really lacking. So I don't know if you have one of these, but you'll notice I've made some modifications. I stitched in all these eyelets, and to avoid the really bad seam coming apart. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's just a single stitch seam, and this elastic was running through it. So I mean, clearly that'll come apart really quickly. These eyelets have proven to hold up fairly well through a few months of constant in and out. And then I added these for this paracord, and basically this is just another means to tie things onto the side. It was actually originally meant to put things on top and then not crush anything underneath, like if I had an elk or a deer or whatever. So it was actually designed originally to carry a load, not retain a load, but I never have the level of the sled I never have the pile below the level of the sled, so it doesn't matter. So it works pretty well to retain the load. And the Tyvek then keeps the water out of the sled and helps provide a bit of camouflage as well. A note on these ghillie suits, these self-made ghillie suits, if you go with a Canadian Tire burlap sheet or whatever, just don't, because you'll get this stuff, like this burlap fluff or whatever, and it's constantly coming off all the time. When you're working with it, it gave me the worst headaches and nausea. I don't know why, the dye or something, but really, really bad stuff. Nasty, nasty stuff. Okay, so these basically are permanently hooked on the one side, and then they hook into another little... clip there. All right. So basically, this is my snowshoes. These are my snowshoes, and I have that so it's kind of secured and won't fall off when I'm going through stuff. And this is a PVC bow that a good friend of mine, Joe, made for me. And specifically because I had mentioned that I wish I had a bow I could leave in a sled or a truck, you know, and not have to worry too much about damages or wear and stuff. Okay, so the snowshoes goes off on the side. I don't know what pulling the sled with snowshoes would be like, but that's how they do it in Alaska and other places where they do a lot of sled stuff. So, I mean, to me, it seems like the snowshoes and the sled might clip each other from time to time. But, I mean, the poles are, you know, just about 6 feet, I guess. They're over 5 feet, so maybe not. Okay, so on to the kit in here. Basically, this is a clothing kit. I don't know who this guy was, but Paul Benoit, I have your bag. I think I got it from the thrift store. I'm assuming you served. In there, I have basically deep weather cold wear. So I've got extra, well, I mean, I've got extra fatigues, camo fatigues and stuff, but I've got, you know, like -40 gloves and the oversized stuff. I don't remember everything that's in here. Your cold weather kits will vary. I'm very resistant to cold weather. It's funny actually because I'll shake and shiver like a little girl. Sorry, little girls who don't shake and shiver, but anyways, I'll shake and shiver like a little like a kid or whatever. And but then when you get into like the -40, I'm completely fine. So I don't know, it's weird. So your cold weather kits will probably vary. So I'm not going to bother getting into that. Then over here we have the big old camo tarp, which you know, tarps have always been my go-to for camping. I've never really been a tent guy. What has got me into tents actually is, of course, deep cold camping and ticks. So I stopped using a tarp and started using tents to avoid mostly ticks in the summer. I brought the tarp because, you know, in spring you can get some massive downpours and stuff. On second thoughts, what I would do is get rid of this tarp, because this is a really big one. Get rid of this tarp and replace it with a smaller tarp that's more tent size, because this thing can cover my truck and trailer almost. So I mean, it's great if you're having a big camp and you don't care about being spotted, but I mean, these shine like crazy, and they fade colors too, so that you can pick that out pretty quickly sometimes. Now I do have on the tent a 3D blind camo tarp that I would put over this to cut down on the glare, but it doesn't really work that well. So this is not something I think I would recommend having in your kit. It also takes up a huge amount of space, whereas like just a tent-sized tarp. And you know, you can always just pick a better site. You don't have to be in the downpour. If it's really not working, you can find a tree well or something and go there. So yeah, no huge tarp on the kit, you know, like it's just if you're bugging out and you're trying not to be seen, that's not the way to go. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know what I was thinking. But I do have these tarp clamps on there, and I've got enough to secure the tarp in whatever ways I want to whatever I want. And I like those. They work really well, so I thought I'd just mention them. They tend to damage tarps a lot less than just tying off with a string. Okay, you'll notice I've got a couple of fuel cans in here. If you're trying not to be seen, sometimes you might have to resort to fuel, but it's something that you're probably going to want to save for those times because it's a limited resource when you're out in the wilds, right? The wood is really where it's at. But sometimes you might even be in a place where there's no burnable wood. You know, it's possible. So got a couple of fuel cans, and then of course in the food pack over there I've got a small mix stove. All right, you may have noticed another part of the video where I have quite a few of these bottles, these 1 liter cans. 4 right now. I think that's probably about as much as I want to carry. These are the outbound ones from Canadian Tire, and I had problems with at least one of them where the seal inside cracked really quickly. This is not it, but anyways, the seal inside cracked really quickly and was leaking in the tent, unfortunately. So I don't know if that's a quality thing, or maybe I put the water in too hot, closed it too soon or something. I don't know. They're only $6, so it's hard to complain. The cans themselves, if you had another lid, the cans are fine. So, you know, not a problem. Alright, so in the tool bag, pretty basic stuff. But I'll go through some of it with you. So we got some teepee, double wrapped. I mentioned having some rope and some pulleys to pull the sled up hills, and this is it. So I hadn't had a chance to use it because I was able to get up all the hills, which is amazing. I really didn't expect that. Extra blade for the bow saw, because you can break them, unfortunately, if you're not cautious or careful. And, you know, you could hit a nail or something. It's just good to have, and they weigh nothing. I mean, I don't know if keeping the cardboard on it's good or not, but it keeps it from, you know, biting any of your other stuff. I've got a fishing rod and a reel in here and some bait and stuff that I'm not going to bother pulling out. What else we got? What else we got? Uh-oh, Trudeau, close your eyes. Close your eyes, Mr. Blair. Okay. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. The end of the world as we know it. So, this is basically my pocket rocket with some ammo in it, and then I've got another bag that's got a lot of ammo in it, but obviously you don't want to keep that together because it's heavy. Well, I guess it's not that much, but you know, extra sling and band, and yeah, there you go. All right, so I think I mentioned that I had a bunch of problems with my poles breaking and whatnot. Just in case that was going to be an issue, I brought some rope, like good rope that you don't mind pulling with. I think I need to explain that anymore. Oh, there's a thermos, which needs a little explanation. Besides, why the hell am I carrying so many things? There you are. Some extra screws to secure the poles. Remember, they're a quarter lock like a bayonet. And then somewhere in here is a screwdriver, which was kind of part of what I wanted to talk about. Somewhere in the sled. There we go. It's out because I had to use it multiple times. So that's a full-size screwdriver in a camping kit. What the fuck? Yeah, so I've got a mini kit that I can use, and it works fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But in minus 30, if you drop one of those bits in deep snow and you've been holding it for a while, bye-bye, you're fucked. I can tell you that from many, many, many years of experience as a roadside assistance guy, that when you drop a bolt or any piece of metal that's been in your hand for a while in deep snow and minus 30, that's the beginning of a bad day, because your hands are not going to want to dig in that, and that bolt's going to go all the way down, and usually not straight. So it's not going to drop straight through the hole that you see in the snow. When I'm doing roadside, usually I'll just grab my big magnet, smash right through the snow and ice and whatever, and then pull the bolt through, right? But you don't have that option necessarily, and if you're trying to keep moving, you know, well, there you go. You get a full-size screwdriver, and it's kind of hard to lose in the manner that I'm saying. So yeah, it adds a little bit of weight, but it really made a difference. If I had to pull out my micro kit, my micro tool kit, it's not a micro tech, whatever, but it's a micro tools I just put together from all my miniature tools in my truck. Then, you know, I would have been there for half an hour or something between unpacking, fixing, and repacking, and then I would have done it 3 times. So fuck that. Mind my language, sorry. Oh, here's a shot of the dimensions in case you don't want to see Google. Kind of wish that they made that sticker come off a little easier. I tried it with WD-40 and a couple other things. I didn't want to fuck up the plastic, so but I don't really like having the sticker on there for whatever reason. It's just not appealing. So that's pretty much it for the sled. We'll go over to the food kit here. Alright, so I got this bag for $15 at the thrift store. It looks pretty cool. It's worth about $15. Every time I pick it up, I hear something rip. Anyways. So, this is a bit of a tangle, but this is my food cord. Dedicated food line. Kind of grabbed the phone the wrong way. This is my dedicated food line, and so what I do is I'll use a stick or a rock or whatever, get it over a tree sometimes. But then if I'm going to be staying in a place for a while and using it a lot, rather than damage the line, it's got a little pulley that I can tie up to a tree as well. And I've used that a lot. It helps a lot. I thought that they would corrode like really badly and it would stop turning after a couple years. But I mean, this thing was hanging in a tree for at least 2 years without being touched, and it still were fine. So yeah, food line, very important whenever you're in the wilds with food, or even not, because some stuff that you wouldn't consider to smell like food, it certainly smells like food to a bear or a coyote or a wolf or whatever. So all right, so food kit. Now I've never been one to really pack backpack. On my bike I sometimes kept like a single pot. But I've got a full pot kit here, so we'll go through this and I'll just explain what's going on and why there's so much. So we have 2 dog dishes right off the bat. That would be a problem if we didn't, right? And then we've got a kettle. Now the purpose of the kettle is that it's way more efficient insofar as fuel to boil the water, but also water being used, because as you boil water it evaporates. So having a kettle helps a lot. This is not my favorite kettle because it's got a wide open spout, and then I took the plastic handle off and it's got a couple holes, which I could close with something. Couple of self-made shorties. The GSI folding handle. My unwashed shit. Ugh. My dog was really not happy when we left. Oh yeah, and I took that log to the knee, like really badly. I dropped like a rock and cried like a girl. I keep saying crying and then like a girl. Listen, ladies, I know there are a lot of you out there and it's just an expression, but I know, there's a lot of you out there that could kick my ass and don't cry for anything. But, so please don't take offense. It's just an expression. There's other expressions that are a little more offensive in some ways too, and I'm trying not to use those ones. So, back to the point. Why do I have so many goddamn pots? Well, as you can see, we're, a ways up a mountain, and, dogs. Oh, Kuma! Good girl, Allie. Good girl, Kuma. So we're a ways up the mountain, and in winter, not so bad, but these guys need water. And, so basically, while I was up for 3 days, 2 nights, I made about 15 liters of water, and we were thirsty when we got in. So making water is boiling snow. Snow reduces a lot when you try and melt it. So you use a big pot to fill a small pot, and then you keep cycling it. And then you obviously you have to also boil the water. Like, you can't just melt the snow and just give it to the dogs. You have to boil the water. Preferably filter it if possible. So having the double pot really helped a lot with that. And as much as it was a bear to put in, it really made a big difference for the pups. And then I also cooked with it. It's nice to be able to make a full-size pot of rice. Like, we all ate off of one pot, right? And in the past, I've had to like cook twice to feed myself. So the other thing is this GSI cover. I love this. Guys, please make more of these, more designs like this. This thing for dog water, I know you meant it for it to be for washing dishes, but for dog water, provided that it's not leaching any kind of weird chemical into the water, I love it. I've never seen a better water dish for dogs. and I've seen a few collapsing ones, and this one just works really well. It's good and deep. It serves a second purpose. It's got the little carry handle, adjustable carry handle. The adjustable part too, like again, like beautiful. I love it. At one point I had something else on there, and if it wasn't for the adjustable thing, it wouldn't have worked so well. So the GSA pot set, I'm really happy about. The kettles from Canadian Tire. And yeah, all right, so we'll move on to their food supplies. So we're double bagged because I normally don't like to hang a nice backpack in a tree. So sometimes I'll use these, and it helps a little bit for weathering and stuff, right? So I got some garbage, because you always pack your shit out. Sugar. This is gold in the mountains. Okay, so you should do some research as to like what early settlers and whatnot used for their sugar supply and how they managed and whatnot. But sugar, if you're going long term, you're going to need it. And in Canada, sugar is very hard to obtain naturally in the level that Caucasian genetic stomachs like. So if you're a First Nation person, the amount of sugars that you can get from natural harvesting and whatnot, it sounds like it was always enough for them. But as soon as the Europeans got here, like they had to start finding other ways, mostly by bringing it, right? So look into your sugar consumption. I know there's a lot of people on the health kick and this and that, but the fact of the matter is sugar is energy. And it's one of the most efficient forms of energy that for when you're depleted, kind of thing. There are much better forms of energy, like was it brown fat or something? I can't remember exactly, but there are hybrid types of fats that you store, that you convert and then store and then reconvert into energy, that are better than straight sugars, obviously. And if you're in shape and eating healthily, you'll be stocked up on that. Once you pull a 150-pound sled up a mountain, and it's not just a sled, right? My pack as well. And once you do that, you sometimes need to do something. And I've been in that position before and tried to just go off of natural berries and stuff. And I'm sorry, but like, you're gonna have a stomach ache before you're gonna have your sugar kick. So there you go. That's my opinion of sugar. Love it or leave it. I brought brown sugar, not actually the best. You should bring white sugar. It's gross, but it is what it is. Bunch of power bars, Gatorade power bars actually, which I'm going to eat shortly. Some peanut butter because gorp. Salt because I'm a hunter. Coffee because I'm a human. Something I'm really surprised that I've grown to appreciate is these enzyme or electrolyte hydration mixes. Not these ones specifically. These ones are okay though. They're a little bitter unless you dilute them really well, but some of them I really, really like. And it's just, again, it's just that shot, you know what I mean? Like, you're going for days and you're whatever, for some reason you hit a wall, it helps a lot. Way better than junipers. And don't get me wrong though, I'll try for the juniper first, but these are really good to have. And you'll notice, like, when I say have, I keep a lot of them, because that can actually really make a difference between whether you make it or not. Your morals, your drive, your morals and whatnot are going to be what really makes or breaks you in a survival situation. There's a lot to be spoken about on that. I'm not going to get into that. Oatmeal, because I'm Canadian. And then powdered soup, mostly for flavor. Really, what's that going to do for you just on its own, right? But you can use that and sprinkle it into some stuff. Again, more flavors. Put those together, actually. I'm not going to pull it out, but at the bottom of this are 2 huge bags of rice. So from about here down is, I don't know, maybe 4 kilos of rice. That is really going to be your main thing, your main staple. Doesn't take much and it helps a lot, and if you're adding to it anyways, with some wild meats and wild organics, whatever it may be, natural wild food has a much higher energy density, I find. So a little bit of rice can go a long, long ways if you can supplement it. There we go. All right, so that's the food portion. And believe it or not, that, if I had to, would last me about 2 months. It would not be a happy 2 months, and I would be hunting. I would be breaking some laws, but I would make it. Not a problem. All right. Oh, gross. Yeah, I'm a pig. Water filter. In the winter, useless, but you gotta bring it. All right, I think I made a video on this, I'm not sure, but basically you take a piece of tape, twirl it around so you have tape string. First tape the piece of tape to the side of the lighter, twirl it, twist it around so you have a tape string. Draw that tape string under the lever of the lighter so that it cannot be depressed, and then wrap it up. And now you have a lighter that's going to last a very long time in your pack. For my sled mix stove, I use my old one because that's the one that's going to get tossed first. Once I'm out of the cans, the stove goes out the fucking door. Why carry extra weight if you don't need to? If you are in a very cold situation, or if you're going to be in a very cold situation, the mini Bic is the way to go because you can warm it up in your hands very quickly, and it'll work much quicker than a large full-size Bic. The sack, what can be said? You know, like it's got everything I mean, really, you could replace almost everything with this, okay? When you know what you're doing, this is really all you need in life. It's crazy. I mean, there's similar stuff, and you could replace a sack specifically. It doesn't have to be branded, but really something like this is what you really need. This with a multi-tool, and you're doing pretty good. Mag block. You will not find a piece of my equipment without one of these stuffed in it, or at least half of one stuffed in it. Oops. If you're going to cut these in half, start with the flint using a Dremel, and then you can work across the magnesium with even a saw blade if you want. But I've got these stuffed in everything. I really truly like them. They work. They're not, it's not a lighter, but it works well. And I've used that for a lighter when I've not had a lighter and wanted to smoke or whatever, which thank God I quit smoking cigarettes again. Hopefully it sticks this time, but I have actually used these like just as a lighter. And so, I mean, it works. You can see a little bit of wear on this one, but not much. Extra buckles for the bags. I've got multiple packs, multiple buckles. These can really come in handy. They don't weigh much. And here I believe I've got extra TP, 2 rolls, and about 10 snares coiled up and ready to go. So in theory, if I had to just grab my food bag, normally those cans will sit inside the food bag, I'd be okay. I would have to have a really big fire in order to stay warm. But if I just had to grab the food bag, I'd be okay. And that applies to my sled food bag and my backpack food bag. Both of those kits have what you see in this, except the backpack one is reduced insofar as how much food. And like the Swiss Army knife doesn't have scales. I have a spork that I made with holes drilled in it to lighten it up, so on and so forth. So obviously scaled to it. So that's pretty much it for the food pack, I think. Oops, things flying around. I gotta go water a tree. So I'm gonna cut this short. And then this is my lock for the sled. Poles, and the tent. I'll do a video on the tent in a few short minutes. Okay, so just some quick stuff on tents here for bug out, whatever. Camo tents are almost not a thing, and the ones that are out there are really expensive for no reason. They're not the best tents. So I would just recommend going with this camo blind, this 3D blind stuff. And then when I put on the tent, I just use a stick to go through it, through the tie points or whatever, and that holds it in place. The stuff's really fragile, so I mean, you don't want to bother trying to tie it with strings and ropes and stuff. And the wind will tear it pretty quickly, so you want to keep it fairly tight to any surface that you're using it on. Now for bug out tents and whatnot, I've always preferred to have well, for any tent, but specifically for a bug out tent, survival tent, I've always preferred to have a freestanding tent. For the very simple reason of ease of ease of erection. You get it up really easily. So, and anywhere, it doesn't have to be a perfectly flat surface. Like a lot of tents that you have to peg out and stake out or whatever, they're pretty finicky about where they're being set up, I find. Whereas something like this that is a freestanding tent, you don't really have those issues. As I said before, Sierra Designs. This is an older tent, so the Silnai is not as waterproof as it was. But, if it's stretched, it's not too bad. And then, so some bedding in here. We had some issue. There's a Tyvek ground sheet under here, but somehow water was still getting in through the sides. I'm really sure it wasn't through the Tyvek. So I used the sled Tyvek as an extra little sheet for the dog to not be soaking up water. Now, when they talk about hot tents, they talk about floorless tents a lot. And the reason for that is that you don't want to be burning your floor and having a fire while you're sleeping, right? I don't know if I agree with that. I kind of think that maybe the proper way to go is to stitch in like a welder's mat or something like that on your floor. Because if you have a floorless tent, you're going to get ticks and you're going to get runoff and all kinds of stuff. So I'm not really a big fan of that one. I had to use my my pans as ashtrays here. So clearly it's a good thing I had the extra stuff. But I'm gonna have to do something either about the design of the stove or how the tent floor is. So yeah, that's the inside. There's a silicone disc on the inside and the outside, so 2 silicone discs, and it's okay. But I mean, it stays kind of tight. Oops, it stays kind of tight. It's not terrible, but I'm probably gonna redo that inside one because it's also not perfect. One thing I did do, I don't know if you can tell, it doesn't look as bad today for some reason, but when I was trying to cure that, I had the stove in here basically just smoking, and the whole top of the tent went brown like that stain. So I'm hoping that's all gonna like wash out. It's kind of gross. Don't know what else to add to this video. I'm gonna stop it here, pack the tent away, pack the sled, and then maybe I'll do a quick short one of bringing the sled down. So just a quick note about something. I've often mentioned about leaving 25 to 30% of your pack open, like available, and this is part of why. It's not the only reason why, but it's a big part of why. So when I packed this and we came up, it was flat. Not flat, but I mean like it was pretty much flat. And as you can see, we're almost double the height right now on a fast pack, right? So that means just pack as fast as you can, put it in. What are you looking at? Well, you're looking at a significant difference. And so this applies to a sled, a backpack, a truck, a van, whatever you're doing. As somebody who's kind of lived out of a pack of some form or another for most of my life, this is what I've found to be the way. So if you need 80 liters of stuff, then really you need a 100-liter pack, or bigger, a little bit bigger, I guess. But and the other thing that does is, if you find stuff as you're going, that allows you to harvest or collect things. You don't know, you might find valuable stuff. Antlers can be sold or used. In a real situation, even a dead animal that's been hit by a vehicle or a train, or maybe it just died of age, and you somehow found it before anything else, there you go. Right now I could not put anything on this. It would just not work. It would not strap on properly, and the sled would probably just try and tip over right away. So right now I'm SOL. But when it's packed properly, you're at 75% of actual total volume, and you've got that 25% or so expansion potential. So just a little tip for you. That's how I like to do it. Yes, lots of fun. Coming down is definitely a problem. With the sled, not so bad. But then you get to the part where it's all melted off. The trail's up where Kuma is. I put the sled on one of my bike trailers to bring it down, and lost all traction and slid halfway down. So I got a ways to go before I can get down. And what I'm doing is just kind of using the stand or the leg or whatever for the bike trailer as a brake. But when I get to here, I suspect it's going to want to flip right over. So got a little bit of a problem. A narrower trailer would work better. I've had this problem with this trailer on this trail a few times, although I've never been kicked right off the trail like this. It's kind of funny, like I could do nothing about it. I tried to redirect the wheels to steer them in the direction of the trail as they went, and it just went sideways. It just slid, like no traction. So it is what it is, lesson learned. Only thing I can think of is, you know, drag it down or a narrower trailer, one of the two. But aside from that, there's not a lot that could be done to prevent that, I don't think. Anyway, I got a couple birds watching me. They sound like they're laughing. They want to see how this goes. And the dogs are watching and waiting. So, talk to you later. Alright, morning folks, how's it going? A couple days down the road. Spent yesterday cleaning the tent. Looks much better now, eh? Pulled my sled down to start repacking, configuring, doing etc, etc. And this. I don't know how well you can see this, but it's actually just straight up split right here. And it's not the same on the other side. It's the only spot that it's like that. And that's where the food bag was, which is not the heaviest item in the sled. Also, that's kind of where you'd be leveraging off the ground the most, right? Because it's tied there to your poles. So you're pulling up, not pushing down. And I specifically had my stove and the heavier stuff in the very back, which doesn't, you know, like there is a little bit of more wear in the back here than let's say here. But this leads me to believe that this was a thin point in the mold. So I'm really disappointed with that, because if I was going for a long term, I would be screwed on day 2 or 3 or whatever. Because I mean, really all I did was, if we can look here, I went from about here, I guess it depends on, yeah, so about here to about here, which is about 5 kilometers at most. Like that's like a really, really, generous estimate. So unfortunately I think I got screwed on this. I'm gonna go and try and see what good old Canadian Tire will do about a refund. Well, not a refund because I need the sled, but an exchange. But it sucks because like these are welded in, so putting this back together, pulling it off is gonna be fun. I'll probably be able to cut it from the inside, and then I'll just have to get another bolt. In case you're wondering, so these are the pulk quarter turn sockets that lock in, and then I shaved down the bolt head so that they don't wear too much. Before I shaved them down, you could see like right away they started scratching a bit, so I dealt with that right away. See, like that's what I mean, you know, like this rubbed on that for a day of just, and you know, it's been like hanging on the truck going like this when I'm driving and stuff, and it hasn't come anywhere near going through. So I mean, this doesn't make sense over here. So anyway, back to this. So yeah, I welded this so that I can lock it, and it's not easy for someone to just grab the sled and go. And then in here, this is a brass, I think 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch hose connector or something like that. Sorry, copper. And then inside is a piece of rubber as a bushing, and then a bolt. And then I have the plastic itself sandwiched between 2 washers. So that way, most of the pressure spread out a whole bunch, you know, instead of just a little bolt going through a small surface. So that was my mod for the pulk poles, for the sockets to go with my system. And then I just have these little clips underneath. Okay, I just literally ran my SD card, huge SD card, out of memory. But so as I was saying, I have these that I clip down to tie the cover to, like I was showing before, up in the bush. So So I don't know, you know, on the big drops, because there were a few big drops, I had to lower the sled down, then that would have been in the back, because I was lowering from the front, right? So this doesn't make sense to me unless it's a factory defect. The sled simply didn't have enough room and time, or didn't go enough distance and time to do this, I don't think, compared to, you know, the rest of it. So I'm just hoping that they're going to exchange it over at Crappy. So moral of the story here is that Canadian Tire sells a sled but does not carry the runners. And the runners are $40 to ship and I think $40 to buy. So you're basically paying double. Home Hardware supposedly carries the runners, but they can't find them. And the Pelican rep is in Quebec or something and won't answer their phone. So you're basically almost better to buy from Americans. Like Pelican says that you can order their runners, right? But you're paying $40 shipping. So I would just open like a new eBay account, buy from some other company that's got a sled with runners on it, get your free shipping for your first order kind of deal. Get your whole set in. Because with the runners, they're like a good quarter or half inch thick. So even if you have some thin points in the mold, you won't get screwed right away. Like I literally wouldn't have gone a week and I would have been so screwed, because once these have holes in them, they become very difficult to start sliding with any weight in them. It just digs in, right? It cups in and then it digs into the snow and ice and stuff. So it's a real problem. I don't know going forward even what to do besides make my own runners or something. I really don't know, because like I've tried for weeks to find runners and it's been, you know, like I said, I could have paid double from Pelican, but I mean, why the fuck don't their retailers have them? Anyways, so rant over. It's a great trip. Really disappointing ending here. I thought everything went well. I didn't notice this until I brought it down, then flipped it up and decided to really inspect it. It's kind of sad. Anyway, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Any comments or opinions or suggestions or anything you want to say, just leave it in the comments.